Atheism leads to moral nihilism. Let me explain why. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, please have a look at these pictures that I'm gonna share with you. How I was overweight, how I had no meaning in life, and how I suffered from tremendous anxiety and depression, panic attacks. I lost all my ability to live life. Just me realizing that I have a consciousness was making me depressed even more. I was actually taken to a hospital. One time I fainted in the workplace and my colleague took me to the hospital for a CT scan because they thought I have some brain tumor or something going on in my head. So they did a bunch of tests and said, there's nothing wrong with you. But I was suffering from horrible headaches for 6 or 9 months. I didn't enjoy food, nothing. Everything was really bad for me, basically. I was drinking every day. I had very bad headaches every day from smoking, doing marijuana or some other drugs. Just drinking every day alcohol and just horrible lifestyle, making me fat, unattractive. I was, making no money, just really miserable. It can be all traced back to the moment when I realized that I want to be an atheist, which was basically a scientific discovery, looking at Big Bang, looking at what happens at the expansion of the universe and all these things, which led me to believe, there's no other explanation, just scientific, for why the life exists here, which is so untrue. Especially if you watch like Netflix or Rick and Morty, which is a very popular, show. The whole show is basically about Rick, who's the scientist, and he has almost the power of a god, but he's still nihilistic in his behavior. He still drinks, he still finds no meaning in his life, but he creates purpose for everything in his life except himself. He can't find it.
Am I evil?
Worse, you're smart. When you know nothing matters, the universe is yours. And I've never met a universe that was into it. The universe is basically an animal. It grazes on the ordinary. Creates infinite idiots just to eat them. Smart people get a chance to climb on top, take reality for a ride, but it'll never stop trying to throw you. And eventually it will. There's no other way off.
Who am I? What do I do?
I can make a clone of you. A perfect instance of you with all your memories, an exact copy in every way. It'll love and provide for the kids, do your job.
If nothing matters, why would you do that for me?
I don't know, maybe you matter so little that I like you. Or maybe it makes you matter. Maybe I love you. Maybe something about your mother. Don't jump a gift shark in the mouth.
So today I want to make a case why atheism leads to nihilism, and it's very simple. I lived it, I'm not a born Muslim. Atheism seems like a natural choice for somebody nowadays in this modern, era that we live in, because it seems rational, it seems common sense, it seems like, hey, you can't prove to me that there is a God, therefore there isn't a God. I can see, touch, or smell them, I can feel them on my senses, it hasn't been proven. So therefore I'm going to opt out and I'm going to assume that everything is random until proven otherwise, which also can be defined as an agnostic. And I'm going to do just whatever I please to do because I don't have any objective moral authority. Human beings are a byproduct of evolution. The universe is a random event which started 13.5 billion years ago with the Big Bang. Before the Big Bang there was nothing, so the universe began from nothing. Or maybe there's a multiverse somewhere else and there's an infinite number of universes with infinite number of realities and we're jumping through them here and now, and that is the ultimate reality. There's no purpose or meaning behind this. We assume the purpose and meaning through this divine reality because we can't comprehend it. Therefore, we're very primitive, and whoever associates themselves with any sort of religion, culture, or traditional, they are not logical creatures like I am. I'm a modern human being. I have a corporate job. I'm a programmer. That's what I do. There is no purpose or meaning to anything. And if I work out, I do it for myself. I want to look good. Anything I do is for my own benefit. I only look at myself as an individuality. My family is not that important to me because, come on, it's an old tradition. And either way, I had to move to a big city to find a good job, to pursue my career. My career is the most important to me. This is gonna fulfill my ambitions and naturally drive me to success in this life. Because this life is the only life we have. There is no hereafter. It's a story, it's a fairy tale for people to cope with life. There is nothing like that. So why don't we just embrace that there is nothing beyond and live how we're supposed to live in this world? Enjoy every moment. Live to the fullest. Enjoy it. Because this is the only life you have. You only live once. Now I just gave you the perspective of an atheist. There's a lot of atheists who don't claim to be atheists. I don't talk about somebody who's like scientifically knowledgeable and they decided to become an atheist. Just a random human being who doesn't go to church or something, they would consider themselves maybe an atheist. They don't really think about it that much, but it is a natural predisposition in the Western world, where I am in Europe, in the US probably as well. To just say, hey, if I don't have a family who has any sort of religious affiliation, I'm just gonna opt out and be an atheist because none of these religions make sense to me. This is all just a spooky story for little kids to scare them that there's somebody watching them who I can't even see, and it's just a big joke. There's nothing like that. We're gonna explore where this path leads and why it is the most dangerous path you can take in your logical assumption when thinking about the purpose of life or the universe or God, so stick around. It's very crucial to understand your position before you start criticizing somebody else, and a lot of these people attack religion or traditions or culture in general, as I did. I used to be an atheist I don't even know where it started. I think it around the age of 16 when I was really into science. And from there, it kind of evolved, and until I'm 28 or 27, I was in that frame. So I would say 11 years, I've been like a very atheistic person. But if the outcome of atheism is nihilism, well, then we have a giant real-world implications. I want to show people where this path leads, and what are the alternatives, what are the solutions if you're an atheist. And I want to help people to decide whether to become even a better atheist, a more firm atheist than before, because I'm going to challenge them, or to rethink their atheism and look into a couple of solutions that I'm going to propose to you. One of them will be faith, but the other ones are not faith-based. A general idea of atheism is there is no meaning in life. However, we act as though there is some purpose, because we still go to work, we still get out of bed, we still do these things. But our general premise is this doesn't really matter. As I shown you in the previous clip with Rick and Morty, the most popular cartoon show nowadays, which is supposed to be super smart, and it is. But you can see it actually exposes the very naked truth of even the multiverse theory and any other possible scientific explanation of the reality. It doesn't provide meaning to human being. Profound, or I would say the most impactful philosopher in this field was Friedrich Nietzsche. He was a nihilist, but compared to a lot of atheists, he was actually very educated on the topic, and he himself warned other atheists against being atheist and nihilistic, that this is an inevitable path that it will lead to, and he proved it. But if we really think deeply about the implications of atheism, we come across a few things. If I were to build an AI model, I don't know if you watch Westworld, which is a TV show with AI robots, but they are indistinguishable from human beings. So let's say I build somebody like me with the exact same features, exact same behavior, just like my behavior, and I let them learn for 100 years my behavior, so they become basically the same copy of me. If I were to murder or kill that thing, would it be a murder or would it be something different? And what's the difference of killing that thing versus killing me? We already talked about this a lot on this channel, but there's this principle, this ruh, this soul that we all have. So we know it's naturally wrong to kill somebody because they have this soul in them. But you can see the soul. What is soul? Is this my body? What is it? Because if it's a body, I have the same exact body as the AI. They have the same exact behavior. The only difference that is you can see is I'm living. I have life. That thing doesn't live. It's programmed. But I have life. What does it mean I have life? Well, I have the soul. Well, what is soul? I have consciousness for people who are scientific. Well, what is consciousness? Well, we don't know, but we know that this distinguishes human being from animals and everything else. Okay, so that we know that there is a distinction. But atheism, based on naturalistic worldview, they say there is no difference. In their eyes, if they would be honest enough to declare their position, which they are not going to do, but if you would be really honest and study the position of atheism, you would realize that this is the natural view. You have to come to this conclusion that there is no difference between me, this table, and this. We are just molecules and atoms in the universe, randomly associated, we created a mass. We're somehow reproducing. There seems to be no meaning to it. It's just a big splash. And that's it. We're gonna die. The sun is gonna explode. The universe is gonna evaporate at some point. And we had a nice ride. When you die, nothing happens. You decay, and you become nothingness. So therefore, you don't need to really stick to any moral things in this world because this is the only life you have. But I want to make a distinction here. Most atheists are not nihilists. Because if you would think through atheism, the natural conclusion is nihilism. But since most atheists didn't really think about their position that deeply, they are sort of in the beginning stages of atheism. They just reject God. But they didn't get further. You have to really think about what atheism means. Science led to atheism, which led then to nihilism. And Friedrich Nietzsche is saying that, well, most people still are not nihilists, but there will come a point in the future where most people will realize what this actually means. And this will create a tremendous problem in the society. We seem to have a pandemic of mental health issues. How do we cope with them besides the prescription drugs? We don't have family to hold on to. We don't have a lot of great friends. There is no God, nothing. So we take drugs, we drink a lot of alcohol, and we try to keep busy and focus on our careers. Oh yeah, this is gonna save us. Philip Phoenix, in his book, The Realm of Meaning, talks about 4 causes of nihilism in the modern world. The first one is general skepticism. So basically questioning everything and nothing is sacred. And I can tell you in my life, oh my God, I did this so much when I was an atheist. The second point is depersonalization and complete destruction of small, complex communities. For example, 100 years ago, 70 years ago, my grandmother and grandfather lived in a small village. Everybody knew each other. There was a specific dialect for that village only. There was a specific way to attend church. There was a specific way to cut the grass on the field. Everything had its purpose. Everybody knew each other. There was a sense of community. There was an authority in terms of the priest. But we can see nowadays this village life is completely destroyed with modern urban lifestyle, which means young people like me or anybody like a millennial has to leave the village to go to the big city to get a job. The third point that he mentions is the overabundance of information and things. So we have a lot of things that we can buy. This really is a new concept for human beings. When I was growing up, my grandmother used to save. When I ate a yogurt, we would take the thing that the yogurt is in. I don't know what's the name of the form, and we would save it for later because we would have a usage for it in some form, whether in the garden for a plant or something. But now I just buy anything. I just bought a computer, I buy this. Anytime I need something, boom, 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 I go online, I bought it. And this is a sick behavior because it creates instant gratification. You can never be satisfied. Same with information too much. And we actually know from psychology that if you give humans too much choice, they'll actually become less happy. Fourth thing is very simple, rapid change. As you can see, take an example of somebody who lived in 1920s, like my great-grandfather, let's say. What's the difference between him and me? It's worlds apart when it comes to our knowledge. Or, you know, I lived in the United States. I traveled in different countries all over the world. I studied in different places. I worked in different countries. I know much more people than he does. I speak many more languages. So he is a completely different. I have access to much more information. I have consumed millions of times more content than he did in his entire life. And what's the difference between him and his grandfather? Not that much. Not that much. They still lived in sort of an agricultural society, you know, but it wasn't that big of a jump as where I am. And iPhone started in 2007. It's 2021. So go back 15 years, there's no smartphone. How different was the society without a smartphone? Just think about it. The last 2 years since the COVID started, last year, look at how delivery of food, how everything has been moved online. Food delivery, package delivery, everything is handled online. Another shift. So we're living in a tremendous amount of rapid technological change, which is unprecedented. What are possible solutions? The first solution is to create your own purpose of life. You do not need God. You can create your own meaning. How do you do that? Well, let's think about it. Do you like to work out? That can be your meaning, to become the best fitness man in the world. Do you like boxing? Maybe that can be your purpose of life. Or maybe if you're a singer, you can try to accomplish great things and become the best singer on the planet. Maybe that can be the purpose of your life. However, if we take a closer look at these sort of manufactured human purposes of life, we can see there's a big problem here. Even people who achieve the highest and highest levels of these things, they oftentimes are miserable, commit suicide, depressed. So, that doesn't seem to work, right? You can associate with some group of people based on your race or ethnicity. And we can see nowadays a lot of people in this spiritual meditation space, they talk about, well, you need a set of values because you can't have your worldview otherwise. So why don't you make a list of values, and whichever value you resonate with, well, pick and choose, and those will be your values. That's such a stupid thing to say. Like, your values, first of all, they change. So you need something that will not change. And your values, your personal preferences change. 10 years ago, I was a completely different human being than I am now, and my values has changed 180. So how can you say such a thing? This will create a purpose for a couple of years, and then I'm back to square one. So this doesn't work, let's be clear. And whoever is to tell me that this works is a liar, because I've been through this. I've tried to be the best at this, the best at this. I've tried to focus on just one thing and become tunnel vision in it, but it didn't create meaning. It created more suffering than anything else. Until you have a concept of the hereafter or something that happens to you after you die, you will forever treat this world as your only destination. Therefore, everything you will do, everything you think, everything you will achieve in this life will be affected by this idea. And this idea is the basis of your everything, every action, every business, everything you're doing comes back to, do I believe this is the only thing that exists? Or is there something beyond this world? But I will have to look into it, and I will have to throw away my assumptions and really dive deep, because I'm suffering in this side. Human beings need something that is bigger than themselves as a society or family to create meaning for them. This is a need we have, because you are not just individual. You cannot live individual life. It's impossible, actually. You are a part of society. I was always a very introverted person, so I had a lot of thinking to myself. I had a lot of time that I was spending alone. A lot of times this led me to depression. But why? Well, because people with this worldview, which are almost everybody that I know, they tend to keep themselves busy. Busy at work, busy at home. You go for a jog, you work out, you come home, you drink, then you watch Netflix, you associate with people, you go out. You just want to keep busy so that you don't have to think about the existential questions. This is how they live. If you start asking them, well, what do you think happens when you die? Why do you exist? And if you leave them alone for a long period of time, they'll become depressed, because they'll start realizing that you strip them away from all this nonsense, and then they'll start realizing, let me meditate, let me use some of this crazy stuff. Okay, I don't know nothing about me, I don't know who I am, I don't know what's my purpose, I don't know nothing. Okay, now you've achieved something at least. You have something, you became nothing. That's great. At least you don't associate with things now. Now let's go further, okay? Today's society is very distant from God. But people still want to fix this world. People still want to do LGBT movements, people still want to do marches for women, people still want to associate with movements even though their naturalistic worldview doesn't have any benchmark for their existence. It's just atoms moving through the universe. Why does it matter that you get your rights? What is the purpose? You don't have a purpose. It is nihilism. So why do you want these things? Why do you care? Because deep down you know you need this meaning, so you're trying to catch it through these waves of societal changes, LGBT, Black Lives Matter, all these things. You want to support something higher than you, bigger than yourself, because you feel, oh my God, if I don't do this, I don't know what's the meaning of my life. I can't just live for myself. Yes, you can just live for yourself. That's correct. But don't just associate with any meaning that you can find out there. Solution, just do science, let's focus on science, and that's all we need. This was my assumption. Why don't we do that? We will discover tremendous breakthroughs. Science led to nihilism in the first place. Like math, for example, it's just like a subject. Math doesn't produce any moral value or guide for humanity. Math can tell you how far something away is, or how to calculate a certain angle, but it doesn't produce a set of values for a human being. You can see a lot of atheists now getting into vegetarianism, veganism, climate change. All these things are pointless. According to you, why would you want to make a world a better place if it's all pointless? Think about it. Why would you care about why am I here? Like, why the first human beings who were in caves started thinking about, why are we here? Is it to make food? Is it to buy houses? Is it to conquer other people? What is the purpose of this land? What is this world? Why are we in this bubble? What are the clouds? They started to notice the environment. They looked in themselves and they said, okay, what is this body? I actually have hands, but I didn't create them. They were given to me, or what is this? I'm growing. I'm gonna die someday. Where am I going? How did I get here? What are these hands? How am I thinking? What's making me think? Is this the brain? What is this brain? What is the eye? What is happening here? I'm reflecting on my own creation. I'm reflecting on the creation again around myself. You basically have two choices. You can either pretend that this is not happening and this is everything I just stated is just like some lame guy on YouTube trying to convince me that religion is great. Basically, I'm telling you, that's one way to go about this. The other way is to, okay, I am going to look into religion. That's all I want from you. Look into religion. Look into every one of them. Why wouldn't you? Half of people on earth believe in religion. Let's say the other half doesn't. How can you know you're right? So just look into all of them. Look into basic concepts.
You have to realize that the meaning can only come to you from something external. If you think about it, it makes sense that the only one who can give purpose to the creation is the creator. If you design a thing, you as a designer know what it's supposed to be. The thing doesn't know what it's supposed to be doing. And I just want to leave you with a couple of English quotes from the Quran. Truly in the remembrance of Allah, the hearts find peace. And I can tell you, since I became a Muslim, this is the truth. And I have never suffered from any panic attack, depression, or anything. And I have a video about the purpose of your life. It's a very deep video. It has about 20 minutes. So click on it right there and go watch that, because that gives you more of a in-depth idea what Islam means by the purpose of life. Because every religion has a different purpose of life. Allah also says in the Quran, whoever turns away from my remembrance, that person will have a miserable and depressed life. And think about it, if somebody has everything in this world, every material possession, and they still kill themselves, or they take antidepressants, or they, do all these things, but they don't have Allah, what do they really have? If you have any questions, comment below, and I will see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum. See you later.